Hello and welcome to Paul on Politics, our review of all the week's political news and analysis live on KMTV. As infection rates continue to rise in Kent, will mass testing of school children in the county's worst hit areas make any difference? Well, Karen, let's come to you. Education is important to young people, so isn't this an appropriate tack to take in the fight against the coronavirus?
Well, you could say in one way it looks like it's a step forward, and I agree that, if you want to get the army in, they are going to be best placed to look for this and to look for the asymptomatic cases. But testing isn't the be all and end all. The young people are going to be tested and they're then going to be on school holidays. We've then got the relaxation around Christmas. So I'm not at all convinced that this is a good idea. And if the government were really serious about supporting our young people, they would take the pressure off them with regard to exams, because a lot of young people are feeling that like they are in a pressure cooker. Lots of parents are telling me this. And also they would have invested a lot more in terms of pushing more staff into schools and creating more space around schools so that our young people could have been taught in other ways. There's a complete lack of clarity around this. Thanet is a hotspot. We don't know where the transmission is coming from, and we need improved communications and we need clarity. And the letters I've been writing to Roger Gough go unanswered, and I think that tells you a lot, actually.
I mean, we've got the review of the restrictions coming up on the 16th. Do you think there's any chance that Kent could move down into a lower restriction level?
Really, Paul, I don't know. I have to say I would be surprised, because our figures are coming down only very slowly, and we still have quite a lot of admissions in our hospital. I think we need to look at what happened in Liverpool with regard to testing and learn the lessons there, because only 1 in 25 people in deprived areas went for testing. And one of the reasons that is such a poor rate is because people are very driven by poverty. If they go and get a test and they need to self-isolate, then they have to make some very difficult choices. And at the end of the day, the statutory sick pay that people receive, it really doesn't help. People are really not being supported enough. We've still got huge numbers of people that fall through the financial support net. I think this is actually, if I'm honest, I think it's a bit of a dog's breakfast. I think it's good that we deal with this as a case, but I also think that we need to really pay attention to those those areas with deprivation, and really put in targeted support into those areas and create wraparound support for people with very, very clear messages.
Karen is quite right about sorting out the payments to people who have to self-isolate. And it's true, the government have not reacted as quickly as they have in other areas, and I'm sure they'll be on the case as quickly as possible.
Okay, well, moving on. Medway opposition councillors have been calling for a circuit breaker on schools to curb the spread of the virus in the run-up to Christmas. Would you favour a kind of a closure of schools as a way of kind of curbing the rise?
Do you know, Paul, I think I would. I think we had this idea back in September of a circuit breaker in October, around about half-term holidays, and then after that we got a bit of a surge. And I'm thinking education is obviously vitally important. And I think there's a bigger message that's kind of got missing in all the noise about COVID, which is we need to reassure our young people that there is time, that they can catch up, and that the government need to step up and listen to the teaching unions and make sure all the extra support, etc., is put in, because we don't want our young people to feel that they're in a sort of, in a tinderbox, and that everything hinges on the next set of GCSEs or the next A-levels.
Now, there's just 20 days to go until the Brexit transition period ends, and the Prime Minister has been in Brussels this week trying to secure our departure with a deal. Talks have been rather frosty, but it seems there have been numerous attempts by both parties to try and strike an agreement, although ultimately proved futile and everyone was left empty-handed. Boris Johnson said the prospect of no deal was highly likely, with growing concerns over its effect on trade and the flow of traffic towards the Port of Dover. Well, Karen, I want to come to you first about the introduction of the Dover TAP scheme this week, which has seen delays getting to the Port of Dover and the Channel Tunnel. Is this perhaps a foretaste of things to come, or just a kind of one-off situation driven by companies wanting to get their supplies across before Christmas?
Well, let's hope really that it is a one-off situation, but frankly, I sort of fear that we could see months of this, going on for a long time. It's not just a case of, our lorries from the UK getting across the Dover Straits. It's also from the other side, so European trucks trying to get into the UK to deliver goods. And we are already being predicted with food shortages. We're already being predicted with price rises. And let's not forget that Boris Johnson, the leader of the Conservatives, said this was going to be the easiest deal in history. And, let's get this deal done. And what an amazing fib that was. But I think importantly, we've got to think about the European lorry drivers coming into the UK. They get paid by the kilometre. If they come here and they are held at these lorry parks, that's not going to be good business. They're already saying that they do not want to deliver to the UK. Now, I'm not doing fear mongering here. I'm just laying out the basic facts. We've left it far too late in the day to put these arrangements in place, and we were told there was a deal. There isn't a deal, and frankly, we've all got our fingers crossed, which is probably the best we can do at the moment. Well, I hope Paul Bartlett is right, and that deal is forged in the next few days.
Do you think that there might be an arrangement, Karen, whereby some sort of sketched out deal is there, but they have to dot the I's and cross the T's a bit later on?
Paul, I have no idea. It's way above my pay grade. What I will say is that we've had 10 years of austerity. We've seen rising child poverty in Thanet. I mean, we've got child poverty running at 51% in some of the wards that I look after. And we were told that, tightening our belts and austerity would do the trick. We were told that if we stopped the bursaries, it would do the trick. But for bursaries for nurses and midwives, but actually it hasn't happened. So really, do I have any confidence or faith in the Tories or in Boris Johnson to deliver us a deal and then to get us over COVID with more belt tightening? No, frankly, I don't.
Well, you're unambiguous there about your position, Karen, so thanks for your comments. Now, finally, at a Kent County Council meeting, there was plenty on the table for discussion. One issue was around the county's carbon emissions and the pledge to make Kent greener. It comes as campaigners have blasted the Lower Thames crossing plan with fears about the potential pollution it could bring once finished. Well, Karen, if I'm right, the Labour group didn't support the plan for this new crossing. Was that driven by the green agenda, the fears over, or just because you think it's in the wrong place?
Yeah, driven by fears around the green agenda. It's kind of short-sighted to build more roads where you've also got an ambition to reduce the amount of traffic on the roads. We need to be switching now to green technologies as quickly as possible. And I think part of that is going to be not only electric cars, but actually less cars and much more usable, cheap and affordable public transport. That's the way forward. Also, there is the plan to plough through some ancient woodland. And now, our trees are a very precious asset and we should be protecting them. So I think we've got this wrong, possibly the route's wrong, but I think the ambition of creating more roads for more cars it's kind of going in the wrong direction. We need to be investing a lot more in public transport. I mean, we've got a similar situation with Parkway that's been developed in Thanet. I mean, it's the wrong project, frankly, in the wrong location. I mean, if you're going to get to the Parkway station, you're very likely to get into a car to drive there, which just seems a complete nonsense.
Thanks to our guests for taking part in today's edition of Paul on Politics. We'll be back soon.